episode 296 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for people who love playing the game of Magic. Whether you're heading out to a PPTQ or you're sitting down at the kitchen table to play with your friends, we're here for you.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Maria.
It's amazing. Meghan. We're both named Maria.
Yes.
And Maria 2 and Maria 1, whatever order you want to put us in.
Wow. Hurtful.
Your middle name is actually Meghan, so this is what we've done all these years to try and differentiate ourselves.
My name is Maria Meghan. My mom had some really confusing thoughts on what she wanted to name me. So.
Can you imagine? I don't know if anybody's name out there is Maria Meghan.
It's just two very different types of name.
Yes, it would be very strange.
It would be.
If you know a Maria Meghan, please tweet at us at GLHF Magic with the hashtag Maria Meghan.
Yes. I really want to know. It's a strange combination.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're here to talk to you today about Guilds of Ravnica.
Yes, the pre-release is coming up this weekend.
We have
a guitar solo.
We have a sick guitar in the studio right now. No, we have one of our very favorite people coming on the show, an episode that people always enjoy and find very informative. It's our Judge Rob episode today.
Yes, I'm so excited.
He's going to tell us all about the different mechanics in Guilds of Ravnica and how they work, as well as any cards that might be particularly complicated. Also answering some questions if you sent us answering questions if you sent us a question on Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah, he will be here to get you ready for the pre-release. Reminder, pre-release this weekend. If you haven't signed up, sign up in advance if your store allows that, whatever method they choose, because there's no bigger bummer town than going in for pre-release and it's full.
Yeah. You don't be the person left out on the curb, standing in the cold winds of September as you think wistfully of all the people inside cracking open their guild pre-release kits.
And you know what? Here's some special insider information for all y'all. Okay, so you're listening to our show. So obviously, number 1, you're smart.
Yes.
Number 2, you're great. Number 3, you're funny.
Weird.
Number 4, you're weird. Number 5,
weird.
You're going to be way better prepared at your pre-release to kick some booty because Meghan and I have already drafted this set twice.
We have. Holy cow.
Yeah,
it
spoiler alert.
So much fun.
We spoiled it for ourselves.
It felt like the best trip back into memory lane,
back
which is
into memory
how
lane.
people always say that
just open
phrase.
The door to a road.
Yes.
That's also outside.
It's but somehow inside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Memory Road.
And because Return to Ravnica was the first set we ever played nigh on 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And we loved it.
We did.
And
it just feels so familiar, but so different.
Yes.
Right? Because all of the guilds that you know and love are there. Not all of them, half of them are there.
Yeah.
Of the 10, the next 5 will be in the next set. But so all of the guilds that you know and love are there. But then at the same time, there's all of these brand new cards. It's a perfect mishmash for me.
Do you want to give your first impressions?
I thought it was great. I had a great time. I wanted to draft. I want to go through and draft all of the different strategies.
So do I. I mean, it felt like everything had mysteries to unlock for us.
Yes.
Still. You know, there was deep dives you can do on basically any combination of colors, any number of colors that you want, because there's a guild gate in every pack.
My first draft was 2 color, but then I splashed 2 other colors.
Nice.
It was great.
What was your first draft?
My first draft was Damier splashing green and red.
Wow.
Yeah.
You sound like Huey, who played in the Team Series Finals, exactly what he did.
That's right.
And his deck was sweet.
It really was.
Was your deck sweet?
It was sweet. I only got to play 1 match with it, but I won that match.
Yeah, we had the reason we got to draft it early is not because we are illegally going out and cracking packs and drafting.
That's right. We didn't break into a vault. Steal a booster box
as we might want to. We were preparing for the World Championship. The Team Series final portion of that was Guilds of Ravnica sealed, so we had to kind of know something about it. I drafted Selesnya. I'm not gonna say I forced it, but my card that I opened was a Selesnya uncommon or something like that. That was very good, and I just took it and I was like, well, I'm just gonna try this because I like Selesnya and let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was a lot of dudes. You just got good quality creatures. Classic Selesnya.
Classic Selesnya. I drafted Selesnya in my second draft.
Yes.
And the only deck I lost to was a better Selesnya deck.
Here's the thing, though. Very fun. Convoke, obviously dumb in some instances. Is it? is very fun in draft.
Yes, great.
A+. And I played across from Izzet a couple of times, got killed out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It seems like if you just want to do shenanigans and have fun, it feels exactly how Izzet should feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Shenanigans.
I also drafted Damier.
Ooh, spooky.
Because, not necessarily because I'm like a Damier player naturally in my DNA, but I saw people playing it and they seem to be having the time of their frickin' lives.
That's how I felt when I was playing it. I was just like, let's do all of these weird things.
It's got great removal. Surveil is excellent.
It's so good. It's so good.
Damier was just so fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anybody play Golgari, so yeah. I don't know.
We'll see.
Remains to be seen.
We'll see how it goes.
Anyway, those are quick early first impressions of the first drafts that we've done. But again, Judge Rob coming on to give us a deep dive on rules and card interactions.
That's right.
Later in the episode.
Before we go any further, we need to stop and thank
you're right.
2 sets of people. The very first are anyone who's a patron of the show.
Yes.
If you're out there and you're a patron, thank you so much for making what we do possible. Really, for as little as $5 a month, you're keeping this show alive. You're keeping us alive.
Accurate.
Yeah.
You literally feed us and
That's
clothe
right.
us and buy us medicine when we're sick.
These
Megan,
lights that are
you
on.
survived from last week to this week because of our patrons.
Hello, everyone. I am happy to be back.
Somebody said your voice sounded like the NPR host on Delicious Dish on SNL.
Wow.
And I was
Do
like,
you know what?
That's a great compliment.
Thank you. Anyways, it really does mean the world to us. So if you have not yet become a patron and you've got $5 a month to spare, please, it really would mean so much to us. And it only takes just like a couple of minutes to sign up. And then boom, you're done. We send you a thank you because we appreciate it so much. And next time that you hear this segment, you can be like, that's me.
And you know what? Just a real quick pitch is there's been, some negativity and down feeling in the Magic community lately. And I hope that you value positivity and fun in the game of Magic. And I feel like you do if you're listening to this show.
Which is what we're bringing you.
And that's what we want to bring you.
But you know what? Sometimes these days, those buckets are heavy.
Yeah.
Because we're putting a lot in them to make up for the stuff that's not in other people's buckets.
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
Are you saying that it's heavy to lift the positivity when people are putting so much negativity in buckets?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's like if the negativity is like mud that the bucket is stuck in, and we're having to exert a lot of effort to pull that bucket of positivity out of the mud of negativity.
So like if that's something that's important to you, it's like vote with your dollars or whatever what they say. So I'm just going to put that out there. Big thanks, of course, to Card Kingdom, another wonderful sponsor of the show who, lives that positivity thing as well.
Yes.
They've got a charity tournament coming up, so I encourage you to check out for that on social media. We would be there. Unfortunately, we can't because we have prior commitments, but a lot of the other Card Kingdom affiliate partners will be there working at this charity tournament, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So watch it.
Yes.
Donate. Support them.
And so many people, I've just been seeing so many great tokens that they've been made for people on special request recently.
Absolutely.
Like, what a lovely gesture.
Yeah, I agree.
What a great thing.
Support Card Kingdom, and you can do that by going to cardkingdom.com/GLHF. All right, everybody, it's time for some Magic news before we pull Judge Robin here. He's sitting in the corner, and I have a rope attached to his feet, and I'll drag him in once it's time.
Wow, I just want to make clear that is not, in fact, the case, because that sounds terrible. That is heinous treatment of a judge.
Do not hog tie your judges and drag them when you need questions answered.
No, never.
Just put
a terrible conversation.
Put your hand up and say judge.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
The best way to get a judge is to put your hand up and say judge. We can't say that strongly enough.
Fine.
Okay.
All right. Item number 1 is the World Championship.
That's right. It happened this past weekend. As many people pointed out, I did call correctly who would win.
You did.
My pick of Javier Dominguez.
Yes.
But I think I still lost our bet of who has overall more points.
We did not officially tabulate it, but I don't think we need to.
No, Maria has like 3 of the other people. And the thing is that on Saturday, I texted Maria and I was like, early call, Javier wins the whole thing, but I still lose sock bet.
That's what you said.
And I think that is in fact the case.
That's accurate. So
we'll see.
I don't know. My feet are feeling pretty cold, Megan.
Yeah. But huge congratulations to Javier Dominguez.
Yes.
Like watching him win, because all weekend he was like so stoic about it almost. He was just like, everyone's just like, oh, did you come back wanting to do one better? And he's like, I'm just here
exactly,
to play. Like, I'm playing. And it seemed like he took his whole year that way, right? Of like, I'm
round
just
by round
here to play the best I can, one round, one event at a time.
Absolutely.
But then watching him win, he was just like, he was so happy.
It was emotional. It was like everything that had pent up in him since last year just escaped in that moment.
It was like,
it was beautiful.
I know. Like, honestly, still thinking back on it, it was just like one of the most awesome moments I've personally witnessed for someone.
So
like,
much hard work, so much finally payoff to get second place last year and come back and win it all this year.
And like, what an amazing story. We haven't, like, I don't think we've seen that yet from someone who was just like, oh, I came so close last year and then just comes back the next year and is like,
I'll just come back next year. It is so difficult to get to this tournament. There's only 24 spots.
I know.
In the whole world.
So congratulations to him. It was really amazing.
Well deserved.
Yes.
As well. So that happened. I just want to briefly touch on, we were talking about judges.
Yes.
Ken Yukihiro's disqualification at Worlds.
Yes.
Was very sad.
It was.
You never like to see that happen.
No.
But I just want to mention it because of the way that he reacted once it happened.
Yes.
I think is a good like learning moment.
He showed like a lot of grace about it. Of just like, do you know what? Yes.
Yeah.
I did. I'm sorry. So I shouldn't have.
What happened is he had failed to de-sideboard.
Yes.
Going into another game. And he drew a card that is pretty obviously in his sideboard. It was a Diamond Mare. He was playing mono blue, which I was so happy about.
It was
Thank you.
Great.
And he held it in his hand a turn. And then called the judge on himself the following turn.
Yeah.
And I believe the reason was he thought he would get a game loss.
Yeah.
Which is not the case, PSA.
Yeah.
If you notice this.
It is easy to distinguish. The way it works is Diamond Mare is a card that's not split between his sideboard and main board. So it's easy to be like, yep, this is definitely a sideboard card. You get a warning for it.
Yep.
If it's more difficult, if it's a card where it's like you have 2 in your sideboard and 2 in your main and you fail to de-sideboard, that's when you get a game loss because it's like, how do you know which card that was?
Exactly. Yeah. And so he was way ahead on board and thought he was going to win, and then his conscience came a knocking and was like, you need to tell a judge. The judge was standing right there. He told the judge he failed to de-sideboard, but he had concealed it for a turn, and he copped
and the judge
it.
knew that he had concealed it for a turn, which was the issue at hand, not the not the situation on its like face, which is just like he failed to de-sideboard. It's that he concealed it.
Yeah, he tweeted out something that I thought was really nice.
Yeah.
After this happened, because obviously this is a huge crushing blow. He goes home with nothing.
Yeah.
0 pro points, $0. And he said, "My heart was weak, and I got the punishment I deserved."
I know.
And so I think that, this is never a situation you want ever to happen in your life. And hopefully you'll never be tempted to do the same thing. But if it ever is, I can't imagine a better way to deal with it than Ken did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go.
Yeah, we learned the Hall of Fame class of this year.
We did.
Which is going to be Seth Manfield and Li Shitian.
Congratulations
to both of them.
Two.
Very exciting. Impressive careers.
Yes.
For both of those. Chris Pakula with something like 46% of the vote.
Yeah.
So every year we'll keep pulling for him. We will keep working for it.
Yeah.
So obviously one of the big stories of the weekend was Jerry T's boycott. Since he did touch on coverage in that, we'll talk more about it at length later.
Yeah.
Because obviously it has more personal impact on us than I think a lot of people initially realized.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
So yeah, more
on that
later. But I think we both came out of it really wanting to highlight Javier's win.
Yeah.
Just because I would hate for that to ever get overshadowed because again, like I said, just watching that moment for him, I was so happy for him. Like it was amazing to witness that moment for someone.
Absolutely.
He was so ecstatic. It was great.
And you could see it on his face. So if you haven't watched it, highly recommend go back and watch the finals. Actually, even in the semis, the first pair of semifinals was excellent magic too.
Yep, so, it really was.
So that's a whole huge item number 1.
Woo!
Item number 2 is the fact that now anybody very soon can play Arena in open beta.
Wow. That's so exciting.
I know.
That's Thursday.
Thursday of this week you can play.
Thursday.
We're selling cards.
As the saying goes.
Yeah, Thursday. You can download and play Arena just like everybody else if you haven't been able to get your hands on a beta code yet. And we're going to celebrate this with on Wednesday. There's going to be like 500 streamers or something streaming Arena.
Holy cow.
It's nuts. And so you can watch everybody play. We're going to have all of the cards from the new set to brew with.
Neat. Oh, buddy.
So get ready for a sweet life gain horse deck. Just kidding. That's
not. Man, I wish. That's going to be over at twitch.tv/GLHF Magic.
Yeah,
so go give us a follow if you haven't already.
Yeah. And check out our stream on Wednesday as well as, 499 other ones. If you want. So that's pretty cool.
Item number 3. You can now, or you're soon going to be able to buy boxes directly through Amazon.
Yes.
Here's what we have to say about that. Don't. Go to your LGS and buy from them.
Yeah, that's what we'll be doing.
We know a lot of wonderful LGSs. Their margins are already really difficult on boxes. And there's, honestly, okay, you can get it for cheaper on Amazon, probably. That's not the point. Think about what it's doing for your community. Like for small business owners, that's certainly a value that we have is to support stronger communities and small local businesses and just do it.
That's just our personal
opinion. If you want to have a place to go and play Magic, you need to show up there when you're not just playing Magic, when you're buying the stuff that you use to play.
Absolutely. So. Well said. And that's your week in Magic News.
Wow.
It's time for Guilds of Ravnica Prerelease Primer.
That's right. And for that primer, we have brought in our usual expert. I was trying to say something like our astounding expert, but
our resident judge.
Resident is that word I was looking for.
Judge in residence?
Yes, judge in residence.
It's Judge Rob.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there, Rob.
Yeah.
Welcome.
What are you reading?
The God Engines by John Scalzi.
How is it?
Speaking to our
yeah, of course.
things.
The God Engines by John Scalzi. It's quite good. This is actually a special limited edition my sister got for my birthday a while back for me.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
What guild are you? Can I guess?
Sure.
I'm going to guess.
What's your guess?
Well, we said he was Azorius because he's a judge.
Oh, yeah. But is it?
Is that... Are you being racist against judges?
Wow.
Or Guildist?
You're being Guildist against judges?
Very Guildist.
Yeah, I'm Celestia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. You're like a teacher.
Yeah, I'm very community-minded. I mean, this is the regional coordinator shirt. So
yeah.
You are the regional coordinator.
I was not even in a correct color pair.
Well, you were
at all.
You were halfway there. Azorius is white and...
Well, Maria said Azorius. I said Izzet, which was just completely wrong.
I mean, I have some exciting Izzet cards that I'm really excited about.
Yay!
So
speaking of being community-minded.
Yeah, I want to get on a soapbox because I'm going to start doing this at the start of shows. I did this a little bit last time too. So my pre-rule soapbox is being awesome to other people at pre-releases. Especially pre-releases are at regular rules enforcement level. There's in Magic tournaments, there's 3 rules enforcement levels. There's professional, Pro Tours, and Worlds. Day 2 of Grand Prix is competitive. If you go to a PPTQ at your store, you'll be playing competitive. If you go to a Grand Prix, you'll be playing competitive. Every other event that you're in is going to be regular rules enforcement level. And regular rules enforcement level is like 98% of all tournaments. It's almost everything we do in organized play. It's almost everything you do at a store level. It is the relaxed, fun, casual, get to jam Magic with your friends and have it be recorded rules enforcement. And it's got a secret thing. You're collaborating with the other player playing the game. You want like a platonic ideal game of Magic. You want this game of Magic to be a cube with no features.
You're a cube with no features.
Why, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So you want to win. You want to play a game of Magic where sometimes you'll make strategic mistakes, but both you and your opponent want to try to prevent rules mistakes and try to make the game as honest and open as possible. And the stakes are really low usually. Like at the local stores that I play at, pre-releases are a pack per win. That's about as low as you can get for a stake in a game.
Unless it's actual stakes, in which case I would argue the stakes are actually higher because I like a good steak.
Yes.
Yeah. At $4 MSRP, that's a real medium stake. And so
Do not eat that steak.
It's not a steak.
Yeah.
Do not eat a steak.
Yeah.
That is $4. Don't.
Yeah. So you're collaborating with your opponent to try to play a good game of Magic, and especially at pre-releases, sometimes they will do things and then immediately want to undo them or undo them very shortly because they realize they didn't understand how their cards or your cards worked. At a pre-release, let them. Like, I know I don't know all the cards. I read the set 4 or 5 times, and I have to read my opponent's cards at every pre-release all the time. And so, and I'm an outlier that matches Louis Scott Vargas at Let's Stump Vargas, right?
Ooh, nice.
Like, I actually can beat him some rounds, which is nice.
I believe it.
But the point being is that I don't know all the cards. You've played the set twice already. You said.
I don't know them.
And you
No
don't know
way.
them. You're going to go to the pre-release and you're going to ask to read the cards. Help out your opponent. Help them play more fun Magic because you're collaborating to make a fun game. Because the game doesn't work if it doesn't have multiple players in it. So
Great PSA.
Yeah.
We
That's my
endorse this
soapbox.
PSA.
Stamp of approval, GLHF. Boom,
Yeah.
put it on there. All right, so what we're going to start with is general mechanics notes for each of the guilds.
Yep.
To refresh you or to introduce you to some of them if you haven't heard of them, or go a little deeper if you need that. And the first one we're going to start with is Convoke from Celestia because it's coming back.
Yeah, it's the returning mechanic. One of the returning mechanics. We have another one coming back. But Convoke is the Celestia mechanic, and it's the same from the original Ravnica. You can tap creatures to help pay for your spells with Convoke. So we're going to look at Venerated Loxodon. Venerated Loxodon is a 4/4 for white and 4. He's an Elephant Cleric. He has Convoke. Your creatures can help cast this spell. White creatures will help you cast the white mana symbol, and anything can be used to cast the generic mana. And Venerated Loxodon also says, when it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that convoked it.
This card's great.
This card's
Yeah.
real good. The thing with Convoke is it is actually paying for the spell. So you can pay the cost by tapping the creatures. It doesn't reduce the cost of the spell. It used to. If you only played original Ravnica and you haven't played since then, it used to be a cost reducer. Now it is actually paying for it. That means for Venerated Loxodon, notably, you can't overtap. You can't tap 6 or 8 creatures. You can only tap 5 creatures to cast the Venerated Loxodon.
Oh, weird. You used to be able to do that?
Yeah, you used to be able to reduce the spell's cost down because Convoke used to reduce the cost of the spell. So you could reduce it by like 7 or 8 mana. I mean, you're still only paying 0, but that changed. What the last time they did Convoke, which was in a core set. M13, I think? Or was that Bloodthirst?
That was Convoke was in like M15, right?
M15?
I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some M's.
It was
Yeah.
before oranges, so that would be M15.
Yeah. So it changed when it came out in that core set and changed to actually paying for the spell, which for those of you who play Modern lets you cast through Trinisphere, which is nice.
All right, good to know.
We're going to jump to Undergrowth, the Golgari mechanic.
They like
Yes.
dead people.
They like dead things. In this case, it's people, but oftentimes it's just things.
Can you imagine how much creepier of a film The Sixth Sense would have been if instead the line was I like dead people? Just want you all to entertain that
Thank you.
thought about The Sixth Sense. Judge Rob, you can continue.
That seems...
My brain was trying to get there, but it couldn't. Thank you for
Yeah.
the help.
So,
No problem.
Undergrowth is an ability word. We've talked about this a couple times. If you aren't familiar with them, ability words are basically flavor text. They tell you the upcoming thing is going to be like all the other stuff that has this ability word on it, but they don't actually mean anything on their own. You could ignore the word if you don't care. You could just read the text of the card. So let's look at Lotleth Giant. He has Undergrowth. Lotleth Giant is a 6/5 for black and 6. He's a zombie giant. Undergrowth. When Lotleth Giant enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target opponent for each creature card in your graveyard. The thing that Undergrowth is signaling is that it's going to care about the number of creature cards in your graveyard. And that might reduce the cost. It might determine the size of an effect. It might determine like how many cards you draw from a thing. The thing to know with Undergrowth is it's a little bit different on every card. For most of the cards, it determines the number at the time the spell resolves or at the time the trigger resolves. So Lotleth Giant is a trigger. When he enters the battlefield, this trigger goes in the stack. When that trigger resolves, he figures out how many creature cards are in your graveyard to deal damage. So you can do something fancy like sacrifice him to something so that he'll count himself when he's in the graveyard.
Ooh.
Yep, which is
I
what-
just like the visual of Lotleth Giant trying to figure anything out.
Yes.
Do you know what I
Yes.
mean?
I'm
Yeah.
just like he's there like counting and he's like, hold on.
Hold on 1 second. 2.
3.
He has a little abacus.
4. Okay.
He has all of his fingers on one hand. We don't know how many fingers he has left
Unknown.
on the other hand.
It's true. It's true.
He could use his rib bones to count, though. That wouldn't be.
Here we go. 1.
All right, next up is Surveil, which
Surveil, Super Scry. It's
Sweet.
the Damier mechanic.
Super Scry.
So the Damier are a little bit retconned in this set. They aren't the guild that nobody knows exists. They're the Secret Assassin Spies and Couriers Guild, which is probably
Wait.
more correct.
Originally, nobody knew the Damier existed?
In original Ravnica, everybody talked about 9 guilds. There's a whole bunch of flavor text that talk about there are 9 guilds in a legend of a 10th House Damier.
That's cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they were the secret guild, and then during Return to Ravnica, they became much more visible because they needed to do the implicit maze and do all this visible stuff. And then in this one, they're just like, you know what? We need a guild of courier spies and assassins. I guess we're out.
You know
We're
what?
here. It's
We
us.
exist.
Yeah. So they also retconned a little bit. Damier used to be about mill. Now it's about milling yourself, which is fine. Surveil is Super Scry, as I mentioned. Normally with Scry, you get to look at the top cards of your library, put some on top, some on bottom. Damier's Surveil will let you put those ones in your graveyard instead of putting them on the bottom. You put some on the top and some in your graveyard. And it'll be just a number. It's phrased the same way. It's a keyword action in the technical sense. I'm going to look at Dream Eater here. Dream Eater is it's a 4/3 for blue and 4 Nightmare Sphinx. It has flash. It has flying.
And it has some of the scariest, creepiest art that ever happened.
Beard face.
Yeah. It's a Nightmare Sphinx, which the art is perfect for a Nightmare Sphinx. When Dream Eater enters the battlefield, Surveil 4. When you do, you may return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. To Surveil 4 in this, you look at your top 4 cards, you put any number in your graveyard, put the rest back on top in any order, and then this has what's called reflexive trigger, which we'll talk about more later, but then after you're done doing that, you get to bounce a permanent.
Sweet.
I had this card in a draft. Can confirm. Sweet.
This card's amazing. Your end step, bounce your best permanent, make a 4/3 flyer, also get to smooth my next draw, so they're all action.
Surveil 4. Yeah. 4. That's so many cards.
The one relevant thing about Surveil, all those cards go to the graveyard at the same time. You'll pick the order that they go to the graveyard for stuff that matters in old formats, but it's all one going to the graveyard event. I've had questions. Sidisi Brood Tyrant from Cons of Tarkir says, whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from your library, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. If you Surveil 4, see 4 creatures and dump them all in your graveyard, Sidisi gives you 1 token.
I see.
It's just one thing that's happening.
I heard that the original title to the song Thriller was One Going to the Graveyard Event.
Michael Jackson was truly ahead of his time.
He really was.
I made a Facebook event. It's my going to the graveyard
You're
event.
going to the graveyard
We're gonna do some
event?
grave rubbings and whatever.
It's just one, though. It's not
Just
one of those
one
ones where
event.
it's multi-events.
No,
It's
just
a single
one.
going to the graveyard event.
No, I need to do one thing really quick.
Don't worry about it. I'm going to tell a story about this next guild in which I made my greatest joke of all time on coverage when I was introducing these mechanics, I was like, and up next, a mechanic I'm very familiar with, living in Minnesota with a car in winter. It's Jumpstart.
Yep. I did Jumpstart my electric car recently.
What?
Did you know that they have a 12-volt
thing?
battery to control their internal, all the internal stuff? Every electric car does. And so, all the normal electronics, your
It
stereo
would
and
go,
stuff.
but none of the other stuff would work?
No. I turned it on,
okay.
and every light came on, and it had 15 warnings, including check propulsion system, and
that sounds like something
I
in a
was like,
spaceship.
Yeah, exactly. It was like roadside assistance. Jumpstart, the is it mechanic from this set. Retrace and Flashback, they hung a lot up during their tutoring session in college. They ended up getting a place together a bit afterwards. They broke up. Retrace ended up raising little Jumpstart to be just as weird as his estranged dad.
Aw, cute.
Retrace is you can cast this from your graveyard by discarding a land in addition to its cost. And Retrace exiles this card if it would go to the graveyard, or not if it would go to the graveyard, if it would go anywhere but exile, just like Flashback does. If you've ever interacted in Modern with Flashback and Remand, Remand tries to return it, counter target spell, return it to its owner's hand. If you retrace a card and it gets remanded, then it goes to exile because it's going anywhere but exile. This is This is not currently relevant in standard because failure is rotating. But it might be relevant. Well,
I think we've all been waiting a
games.
long time for failure to rotate.
So let's look at a retrace card or at a jumpstart card. Beacon Bolt is a sorcery for red, blue, 1. Beacon Bolt deals damage to target creature equal to the total number of instant and sorcery cards you own in exile and in your graveyard. And then it just has the word Jumpstart with a reminder of how Jumpstart works. You may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs. Then exile this card. If you're used to retrace, it's not just a land, it's any card on Beacon Bolt. And you can apply alternative costs for things that care about alternative costs. If you have something that says you may discard a card that shares a color with this instead of it's paying its mana cost, you can do that.
Great.
You still have to discard another card in order to jumpstart it, though. You just replace the mana cost.
Very straightforward. But
the least straightforward mechanic in the set is actually it actually might be the case. It's got a lot of weird stuff going on because we've never had alternative costs able to be cast from things from the graveyard before.
Oh,
Yeah, like flashback, you could only use the flashback.
Yeah, you could only pay
That's
the flashback
true.
cost. So if you had Dream Halls with a flashback card, you couldn't pitch a card to Dream Halls to flashback your card. With Jumpstart, you can, and then you have to discard another card as well.
this is something that I noticed when I was playing with Izzet, that I kind of kept my cards with Jumpstart, a little bit separate from the rest of my graveyard, so I remembered they were there.
One thing that if you are willing to set your exile separately, a lot of people turn their exile sideways. What you can do is you can just set your exile totally separately and then turn your Jumpstart card sideways.
Yeah.
Like you could do that with Aftermath, which is a really good marker for Aftermath, and this works the same way. Then the Boros mechanic, Mentor.
This is the one that I'm nervous about, Rob.
This is the one we're participating in right now.
Yes, it's true.
Nice.
You both have a lesser power than me.
Wow. Sick burns.
Now I have to choose which one of you to target, though. So, Mentor, the Boros mechanic. Mentor is whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with lesser power. We look at Goblin Banneret. It's a 1/1 for single red. Creature Goblin Soldier, Mentor. Red and 1, Goblin Banneret gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So this is a when it attacks trigger. So Goblin Banneret, when it attacks, if there's something out that is lesser power that's also attacking, it gets to target it, and then the counter goes on during the resolution of the trigger. It needs the creature to have lesser power at the time the trigger goes in the stack and at the time it resolves. For Goblin Banneret here, you should pump it before you declare attackers.
Right, so I can attack with it and then play my Sure Strike or whatever it is in this set.
Yeah, if you try to target something, if a 0 power creature is attacking along with it, which is actually possible in this set, then you could target it. But you could pump it before combat, like with its ability, in order to get a 1/1 targeted.
This came up actually in the Team Series Championship finals, and I can't remember who did it, but they did a Sure Strike, which is +3/+1 on their creature specifically to let it mentor onto a bigger creature.
Yep.
But you have to do that before you declare attackers.
Yes, if they're the same size before attackers would happen.
Okay, great.
That's why I picked Goblin Banneret. I think Goblin Banneret's actually really badly designed. I would propose that this card should say activate this ability as a sorcery. Its pump ability. It should be worse.
I feel like people are going to attack
Yep.
and then pump it, and it's going to be too late.
Yep. Which is really frustrating because there's two creatures. There's two creatures that can pump themselves in order to turn on Mentor, and they both should just say activate this ability only as a sorcery. People will go, but it's worse, and you go, I don't care.
This way, people aren't going to mess it up.
It's not going to be so messed up. Okay, so let's just think of it. I'm going to think of it like crewing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to do.
It's basically the same as crewing. You technically have a chance during the beginning of combat step before you declare attackers. It doesn't gain you anything to wait until that point. Just pump it during your main phase. You actually, if your opponent then tries to kill it, you have the ability to cast a haste creature, which is what you wanted anyways. So, be careful with these. And the other returning mechanic, which is kind of a mechanic, split cards. Split cards are back. I'm actually really sad about these because they have really bad naming conventions.
This was one where everyone was just like, what's going on?
Yeah, we wanted to know, but it was just the first
so
three letters.
the naming convention for split cards, the X or Y convention, it was actually one of the scarcest naming resources in Magic. Like you can think of there's only so many names that you can have on Magic cards, right?
Especially one-word names.
Correct. And these actually eat the whole one-word name pool in exchange for not using their other scarce pool. And I'm like, what? Why did you do that? Okay, whatever, guys. Like you burnt invert and invent on invert or invent. And I'm going to run down these cards really quick. Invert is an instant for a hybrid blue or red. And it has 0-day errata, so I'm going to tell you what it actually says in Oracle.
Okay.
Switch the power and toughness of each of up to 2 target creatures until end of turn. It doesn't say until end of turn on the card. It's also a very confusing card because it doesn't mean take these 2 creatures and exchange what's on them. It means take the numbers on those creatures and switch them in place.
The power and toughness, right?
Yeah. If you have a 2/3 and a 4/2, then they'll end up being a 3/2 and a 2/4.
Yes.
And that's switch in place. They'll keep their own, they switch the power and toughness within the creature.
I saw this and my first thought was, this is insanity. I mean, and I started to think about Arena and I'm like, well, of course it's fine on something like Arena because then it's permanent and just sticks there. But what are we going to do in real life? Is there going to be like a counter that comes in the pack that we can put on it? Do you know what? We switched it?
They just missed it.
Whoops.
They do this every once in a while. I would say that approximately 1 set in 6, they miss something and have 0-day errata at this point. Which means once a year now, which is awkward. But Invent is red, blue 4, also an instant. Search your library for an instant card. I'm going to turn my head on my side because I didn't rotate the image. For an instant card and or a sorcery card, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. This is an actually better Firemind's Foresight, which is awkward.
I'm going to take your word for it, Rob.
Firemind's Foresight searches for a 1, a 2, and a 3.
Oh, okay.
At 7 mana.
Oh.
This is just better than that.
So I know you said the naming is sad, but I do love the design of these split cards where it's hybrid mana on the on the cheaper but very
I
less
hadn't actually
powerful.
noticed that.
Yeah.
And then it's always both mana on the more powerful and more expensive side.
Yeah. And the left side is always going to be hybrid. The right side is always going to be traditional multicolor.
Yeah.
And
I think that's just really slick and plays so nicely into the different kinds of cards that we see in Guilds, because we do see hybrid and we do see gold cards. And it's so cool to me to look at this one design card and be like, we see it all right here in this little package.
And for rules geeks, there's a handful of things that are going to be relevant about these. When on the stack, it only has the set of characteristics of the side that you chose.
Yes.
So this is just invert if you choose to invert on the stack.
And it costs 1 mana.
Yeah, 1 mana of either red or blue that you paid. When not on the stack, they have this. Everything is just smashed together for all the characteristics. This is an instant. There's some that are 2 different types, instant sorceries.
Yeah.
And it has all of the mana symbols and both of the names.
Yeah.
So that means that it has a converted mana cost of 7 in your library for things that matter. And so for some things are going to care about this kind of stuff. So just be aware. But it's still only 1 card in your graveyard. For things like we talked about the beacon above a couple ago. The beacon bolt only counts this as a single instant or sorcery.
Gotcha.
Because it's just 1 physical card.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, there you go. There's your
wow. Those are mechanics rundowns.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Not bad.
I'm so excited.
Single card notes then.
All right, what do you got for us, Rob?
So I'm going to start with the commons and work my way up to the rares this time.
All right.
So we're gonna start with the straightforward seeming common, Capture Sphere. It's an aura for blue and 3. It's got flash. Enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. An enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step.
I played this card.
That seems very straightforward to me.
It's very straightforward, very neat. The thing to note is actually less a rules thing and more like a tournament policy thing. That when it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature is a trigger. That is something that you can miss in a tournament setting. We have special rules for triggers on auras that just impact the permanent, like that they come onto like this, which is that they don't expire. So if you're at a PPTQ and you call over a judge and say, hey, I played Capture Sphere on their end step, we went to my turn and I drew a card and realized that we never had him tap his creature. They're just going to do that. They're going to have that trigger happen. So if you mess this up at a PPTQ, don't worry about it. Like you missed it, but it's still going to end up happening.
Great. Good reminder.
Yeah, something relevant. Your opponent can't just say, haha, you missed it, so my creature gets to be untapped and block your guys. My next card, I picked it because it has the best name in the set. I don't think it's close.
Wow.
Cosmotronic Wave. It's a sorcery for red and 3. Cosmotronic Wave deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control, and creatures your opponents control can't block this turn. The trick with Cosmotronic Wave is it doesn't lock in the set of things that can't block when it resolves. It just says that your opponent's creatures can't block at all. So it's going to deal some damage to some things. They might flash in it like that Sphinx, that 4/3.
They're like, oh, now I can block.
Yep, no, they can't.
No.
So be aware that if they try to flash in a creature or animate a land or something, then their creature still won't be able to block if you cast Cosmotronic Wave this turn.
I can't believe you said that's the best name card in the set.
Nightmare Sphinx.
When Hypothesizel is up next.
Hypothesizel.
Hypothesizel. It's the name honorable mention. I put them next to each other specifically so I could say that Hypothesizel is worse.
Wow.
Holy moly.
I have opinions.
Maybe the hottest take we will ever have on this podcast.
Yeah, I feel like I got a tan over here.
Yep. So Hypothesizel is an instant for red, blue 3. It says draw 2 cards, then you may discard a non-land card. When you do, Hypothesizel deals 4 damage to target creature.
Yes, this is bizarre. This is something new, right, Rob?
This is a reflexive trigger, which is something that has just been happening lately and I think is a great addition to Magic. Hypothesizel, you'll do this stuff in order, you'll draw 2, then you may discard a card. You can choose not to. And then if you do discard a card, it generates a trigger. You pick the target after you get to see the 2 cards that you draw and after you discard. The triggered ability is separate from the spell Hypothesizel. In the past, you would have had to target the creature up front, and then they could have bounced their own creature and countered your spell. Hypothesizel doesn't work that way, unlike every other card like this in the history of Magic. It's actually super sweet that you get all the information before you have to make choices about the target for Hypothesizel.
Yeah, I love this card. It's also excellent, and the art is really cool.
Oh, the art is great.
Good. I love it.
It's traditional art, actually, and I know the person who bought it. And it's like
really,
it's a big piece. It's like this big.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
So I want to talk about Urban Utopia next. Urban Utopia is an aura. It's for green and 1 enchant land. When Urban Utopia enters the battlefield, draw a card. I like that text. Enchanted land has tap, add 1 mana of any color. So this is not in addition to what the land does. This is instead of what the land does.
This is very important.
Yeah, this is very important. Contrast this to a card like Fertile Ground that says whenever the land is tapped for mana, add 1 mana of any color. Urban Utopia gives it a separate ability from its other ability.
That's a good reminder because I think I might have thought it did the other thing.
Yeah, this would be incredible. I would play this in Modern.
Super good.
Like I would actually play this in Modern with Arbor Elves.
All you little Ponza players, I see you.
Well, no, I've contemplated Fertile Ground, but it's really bad. If I get to draw a card for Fertile Ground, it'd be quite fine.
You know what's so funny is I have a problem of thinking cards are much better until I actually RTFC. You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Vicious Rumors are things you might hear about those cards that are worse than you think they are. Vicious Rumors is a sorcery for single black. Vicious Rumors deals 1 damage to each opponent. Each opponent discards a card, then puts the top card of their library into their graveyard, and you gain 1 life. So with Vicious Rumors, the card is processed in order, and so it's going to do 1 damage to them, and then they're going to discard a card, and then they're going to mill a card. So they don't get to see that card that they mill before they decide what to discard, which is very relevant in a lot of circumstances.
All right.
Creeping Chill is my next one. I don't know how to spell on my header thing. Creeping Chill, black and 3 sorcery. Creeping Chill deals 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life, which is fine, not very good. But when it's put into your graveyard from your library, you may exile it. If you do, it deals 3 damage to each opponent, you gain 3 life. So it gets its text if you mill it.
That's pretty sweet.
We talked about
Maria and I talked about this.
Yeah.
I appreciate this.
Yeah. If you have not been playing for about a year, Creeping Chill looks better than it is if you haven't played in it a little bit. The Planeswalker redirection rule was removed. So you used to be able to redirect damage dealt to opponents to their Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring this up, especially with a card like Creeping Chill that looks like it's going to be able to kill Vraska. Can't kill Vraska.
Sorry, friend.
Yep. Things now will say any target if they target Planeswalkers, creatures, or players, or they'll say target Planeswalker if they target Planeswalkers. So this just hits your opponents and not their Planeswalkers.
Disinformation Campaign from the Damier.
Oh,
Yes.
I like this card.
Yeah. It's an enchantment for black, blue, and 1. When Disinformation Campaign enters the battlefield, you draw a card, and each opponent discards a card. Which I might just play that in limited anyways. It's just fine.
Yeah.
And whenever you surveil, return Disinformation Campaign to its owner's hand.
Love it.
This can get out of control very easily.
This is largely what I want to do in a blue-black Randy deck. But the things to note, you can't elect not to return it. You must return this to your hand, which if your opponent's playing discard might be relevant to you. You can't hide it on the battlefield, surveil multiple times, and then pick it up on only the one of when you have some mana left. And it's after you finish surveilling, it returns to your hand. So you do all the surveil actions, make all the decisions, and then it's going to return afterwards. All the whenever you surveil triggers are the same way. After you get finished surveilling, that trigger happens.
Gotcha.
And it's relevant. The when you surveil triggers are relevant for enhanced surveillance, which is actually another sweet name. Blue and 1 enchantment. You may look at an additional 2 cards each time you surveil. Exile enhanced surveillance. Shuffle your graveyard into your library.
Try and mill me now, suckers.
Yeah. So note the additional 2 cards. You're not surveilling an extra time. It doesn't trigger the when you surveil triggers multiple times. Mm-hmm. It just makes your surveils better. You can surveil 6 with that Sphinx, which is seems.
And I
feel kind of dirty saying that, actually.
And I want to point out, too, when it's like Surveil 2, that's only one instance of Surveil. It doesn't mean you're getting 2 instances of Surveil for stuff that cares about that.
Yeah, for this Disinformation Campaign is a when you surveil trigger. Doesn't matter how big the surveil is, it only triggers once. The other thing with Enhanced Surveillance, it says exile this, shuffle your graveyard into your library. This ability you can only use it while it's on the battlefield. You can't do this from the graveyard. So if you get milled... You can't exile this from your graveyard. Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Oh, it would be a super dumb card if you could do that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the second ability only applies in the battlefield. Plague Crafter. Black and 2 for a 3/2 human shaman. When Plague Crafter enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. So they get the choice. They can sacrifice a creature, or they can sacrifice a planeswalker. They must do one of that. You also have to do that. And then anybody who doesn't is going to be discarding a card. They can't elect not to. If they have a planeswalker, if their only thing is a planeswalker, Plague Crafter is going to get it. Plague Crafter, if you don't have anything else, just gets himself most of the time. They can put the trigger in the stack, kill your Plague Crafter, and then force you to discard a card, which is like the worst of all possible worlds. I predict that I'm going to get blown up by this at least once in draft, where I'm just like, last card is I have 1 bomb left in my hand. Play Crafter to clear the way. They respond with their last card being like a burn spell, and they have no creatures.
Like,
I'll be like, did I just like 3 for 1 myself? What happened here?
How do we get here? All I have to say is bye to Fairy.
Yep. So Bounty of Might.
Oh, this card's great.
Template is incredible.
I love it.
This is actually a callback to Seeds of Strength from original Ravnica. Green 4, instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Target creature gets +3/+3
Megan, I think we have got a scratch in our record.
Nope, it just says that line 3 times. You can target the same thing 3 times if you want. You can give a single creature +9/+9. Each instance of target can target the same thing repeatedly. If it said up to 3 target creatures each get +3/+3 until end of turn, you'd just be giving the bonus to 3 things.
You know what? A lot of people might think that this looks very clunky on the card, but I'm here to say that it is extremely clear. There is I don't feel like there's any way that you can mess this up.
It looks great.
The rules actually changed for Seeds of Strength in original Ravnica so that they could use this template at the time. They were fixing Bounty of the Hunt from Alliances, which is a card nobody ever cared about. And they said, we could put that on a card. And they just did. And Seeds of Strength just has target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn 3 times.
Oh, okay.
And they're just like, well, how do we do that? Do one better? Go up to 3.
Yeah, I love it.
Great.
Big fan.
Yeah, kill you. 9 damage. Instant. Yeah. Charnel Troll. Charnel Troll is a troll. I don't know why I don't know why. It should be a troll skeleton. I'm actually kind of disappointed. No, seriously.
Because it's Golgari?
Yeah, Golgari Grave Troll's a troll skeleton. Why isn't this a troll skeleton?
Okay.
Green, black 1 for a 4/4 with trample. Yes.
Nice.
At the beginning of your upkeep, exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Charnel Troll. Otherwise, sacrifice it.
Wow.
Charnel Troll must eat the dead. He has no options.
Must eat the dead.
Yes.
Creepy.
Imagine how creepy the Sixth Sense would be if instead of seeing dead people, the kid said, "I must eat the dead."
Wow, that
Okay,
movie would
anyway.
go a whole new level.
I think that this is probably a. I like that. This.
Somebody please make that graphic
I think,
for us.
No. I think I've seen this movie. Didn't he have a brain with some wine and some
Fava beans?
fava beans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
yeah.
I think
If
you're
not,
right.
we're going to write it. We'll win some kind of Oscar for it. It'll be fine. Jodie Foster, you're in it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Great, sorted.
So the thing about Charnel Troll is he has a third ability, black, green, and discard a creature card to put a +1/+1 counter on Charnel Troll. You can activate this ability in response to his trigger. So you go to your upkeep with nothing in your graveyard, stack the Charnel Troll trigger, and respond to it by paying 2 mana and discarding a creature card. Then his trigger resolves, and that's when he eats.
So he would get 2.
Yep, he would get 2, and that's pretty good. You're looking at a 6/6 there. 6/6 Trampler.
Oh boy, I can see myself losing to this.
Yep, I predict that I'm going to lose to this a non-zero amount of the time.
Yeah, that's really strong.
Yep. So let's look at one of those split cards. Connive Concoct. Connive is a sorcery. It costs hybrid blue-black, and 2. Gain control of target creature with power 2 or less. So just Connive on its own. You target a thing with power 2 or less with your sorcery. They can respond and give it an additional power and put it up above, put it to 3 power.
Sure strike once again.
Yeah, sure strike, and it'll be countered. Concoct is black-blue 3 for a sorcery. Surveil 3, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Concoct does not target. You can concoct with a giant thing in your graveyard. They can remove it in response. You get to Surveil 3, dump a thing into your graveyard, and reanimate it. It's real hard for them to stop you from just getting a solid creature out of Concoct.
Cool. This card's great.
Yeah, this card's very powerful. It's just, both of these cards are very strange. Like, if you saw this in a normal set, you might need explanation for what's going on with them. Experimental Frenzy.
Oh boy, this card.
This card. Red and 3, enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play the top card of your library. You can't play cards from your hand. Red and 3, destroy Experimental Frenzy.
Love it.
This is the Isitist
Yes,
thing.
it is.
The one thing to note with Experimental Frenzy, it says you can't play cards from your hand. You can play cards from your graveyard with Jumpstart.
All right.
So
that's fair.
Yep, it stops you from casting things that you draw. It doesn't stop you from casting things that you discard.
So this card was experimented with by 2 different people on the coverage team this past weekend.
It looks so powerful.
Simon managed to mill himself with it. And Marshall died with it on the field while I swung in with Boros creatures.
Yeah,
Well,
that sounds about right.
well,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Future Sight with a drawback. I mean, I'm going to put this in decks. This card is great, but it's very strange.
It is
really
I
weird.
love it. I love it.
Ooh, I also played against this card,
Yeah,
and it
Midnight
was
Reaper.
brutal.
Yeah, Midnight Reaper is a 3/2 zombie knight for black and 2. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. This is
Yeah.
everything that I want out of a black creature. With one note, it's not optional.
Yes.
You can get destroyed by mass removal. You can get destroyed by targeted removal. And Midnight Reaper reaps himself for some unknown reason. He's like, on my way out, have a card in the life.
By the way, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Yep. This card's actually probably going to see a lot of standard play, honestly, because the worst case scenario for the card most of the time is that it's a 3/2 that draws you a card, right?
Right.
You're darn.
It replaces itself.
Risk factor. Risk factor is red and 2 for an instant. Target opponent may have risk factor, deal 4 damage to them. If that player doesn't, you draw 3 cards. It has Jumpstart.
Poof.
Yeah. This sounded a lot more straightforward than if you actually read the card, the line breaks in a weird place. Target opponent may have risk factor. If you put a period in there, because there's the line break, deal 4 damage to them. If that player doesn't, you draw 3 cards. So you might think, do you have risk factor? No. All right. I'm going to draw 3 cards.
deal
No,
more
that's
damage.
no. They have a choice here.
Yes.
This is actually how
Yeah.
it works. Is they get a choice here. This is similar. they should know this line break problem. There was a card with this exact line break problem in the past called Book Burning. Does your opponent have Book Burning? If not, deal 6 damage to them. Like what?
Yeah, just beware.
Yeah. So be aware. They get the choice. They either take 4 to the face or you draw 3 cards. And the one thing to note, it is an instant, unlike Browbeat, which is a very similar card from the past. On your end step, risk factor. On my turn, attack you is a line that will happen.
Seems pretty good. This next card, I'm a huge fan of the name of it, and also the art is so creepy.
Ooh, the art is very creepy.
Unmoored Egu.
Yeah. Black, blue, 1, sorcery. Choose a card name. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles their library, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way.
How is this different than Lost Legacy?
You can name basic lands.
And artifacts.
And artifacts, which you
Legacy.
can't name with Lost Legacy. It's also harder to cast. Like adding an extra color to your deck is non-trivial. But you can name basic lands, which in Modern is actually really relevant.
I only have 2 hands off.
Yeah, exactly. You could actually play this in a really weird Grixis Blood Moon deck, Blood Moon them and then name their basic lands, and then they can't get out.
Wow.
Coming from a player who plays turn 2 Blood Moons in Modern very regularly, this is what I first thought.
That is nasty.
This also lets you name non-basic lands, which is unusual for cards like this. So you can name Urza's Mine. You can name Teferi. You can name whatever you want. Unmoored Ego doesn't care, but you only get 4 copies. If they have 16 Teferis in their library, you can only get 4 of them.
Also, what format are you playing?
I have no idea. Draft.
It's called Teferi.
I drafted 16 Teferis.
A degenerate draft where you draft a whole box.
Okay, and then you drafted 16 Teferis.
Yeah, my box was incredible.
Wow. And no one else was in blue-white. Everyone was just like, I don't need this Teferi.
In degenerate draft, you don't pass these packs.
Wait, this
you
is an
take a card and you throw it. No. This is a format that I played with friends when we're like, we want to burn a box. So each of us just drafts. So what you do is you open a pack, you pick one card, you throw the rest away.
Oh my goodness.
That is degenerate.
That is, like everyone is required to bring a box in order to play.
I've heard a lot of like really heinous things about the ways that people have played Magic. This might take the cake.
Wow.
I've done this with Khans of Tarkir. Our decks, my deck had 3 Siege Rhinos in it. It was was something else.
You're a monster.
I lost some games.
I don't believe
You deserved it. I just want to put that out there.
This next card is bizarre.
Yes. Chance for Glory. So Chance for Glory is an instant for white, red, and 1. Creatures you control gain indestructible. Take an extra turn after this one. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. Note that this does not have 0-day errata. Unlike Invert, this indestructible has no duration. You look at the creatures you have in the battlefield right now, they're indestructible forever. Forever is probably pretty short.
But it might not be if you have a Gideon and a Gideon emblem.
Yeah, Gideon emblem. So this is a triggered ability. This triggered ability goes in the stack. You can counter this, right?
Disallow?
Yeah, you can disallow your Chance for Glory trigger so that you don't lose the game and your creatures are indestructible forever.
In your weird Jeskai counterspell creature deck.
We broke it,
it's
everybody.
Called tempo.
We broke the format.
You're not wrong.
Yep. And so you could just be like, your end step, Chance for Glory. My turn, disallow my Chance for Glory trigger. And then I get a normal turn after my bonus turn.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's brew.
It's weird. This is a strange card. They probably assumed your game isn't going to last that long. They can have indestructible for the turn or 2 turns that it's going to be.
Also, make note that if you cast this on your opponent's end step, you only get a turn and then you're dead.
You get a turn and then you're dead. You want to cast this on your turn so that you get another turn that they don't see. It's basically, there's a card, Relentless Assault, that gives you a bonus combat. In a lot of ways, this just behaves like that.
Yeah.
Like you get to attack, they make some blocks, you make your creatures indestructible, then you take an extra turn where you get to attack again with your indestructible guys. It will probably kill me a lot in Limited.
I don't know. Will it?
Have you ever had your opponent take 2 combats when they're indestructible?
It's also mythic.
Yeah, that's fair, but that just means that they're always going to play it, right?
I feel like it's so bad.
We'll see.
It's not going to kill me every draft.
We do have to do our top 10 worst cards for your seal.
Yeah.
Divine Visitation is the next one on my list. This is an enchantment for white, 3. If 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead.
Yes.
This card is weird. People are like, oh yeah, we've seen effects like this. We've never seen an effect like this. We've never seen an effect like we've seen kind of similar ones.
We've seen an effect like this.
Yeah. So Divine Visitation takes the characteristics of whatever tokens you make, throws them away, replaces them with 4/4 Flying Vigilant Angel, and it makes them white. So if you're trying to make servo tokens, you're getting angels instead.
Elf Knight, get out of here. Here's
Wow. Goblins, get out. Angels.
Angels.
And this is a replacement effect. They're always angels. Notably, if I've seen a lot of questions about this plus doubling season, the interaction is you just get twice as many angels.
Angels.
Doubling season replaces tokens entering with twice as many tokens entering. Divine Visitation replaces tokens entering with angel tokens entering.
Great.
It's the same event. Each one only applies once. So you make twice as many tokens and then they become angels, or you make them angels and then you get twice as many angels. It doesn't matter which way you pick. Notably, though, this replaces the characteristics of the token. This doesn't replace other stuff. Geist of St. Traft makes an angel token, which is nice. It says exile that angel token at end of combat. Well, that actually refers to the token that it gets changed into with the Divine Visitation. It says that thing.
What Divine Visitation says, I'm not tricked.
Yeah.
That is still the same angel.
Well,
or rather,
Geist
is like, I am not tricked.
Yeah.
That is my angel. Get it out of here.
Yep.
Question, what if this had made horse tokens instead? Would it still not be tricked?
It still wouldn't be tricked.
Okay.
Geist does not care.
Be like, look, I know that angel just got swapped into a horse.
Yep.
That angel was horsed.
Get it out of here.
Yep.
Okay. This is a card that Meghan previewed. 1,000-Year Storm.
Yes.
Yeah. So 1,000-Year Storm, for those who weren't listening to your preview, red, blue, 4 enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it for each other instant and sorcery spell you've cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. This isn't actually Storm. It looks a lot like Storm, but it only counts instants and sorceries. Storm counts every spell that you cast during the turn.
Okay.
So if you're a lunatic and play this in a deck where you're trying to storm out, you will have to track instants and sorcery separately from normal storm.
Oh.
Wow.
Be aware. And it's very possible that you'll dig up to 1,000-Year Storm, play it, and then you'll have to figure out how many things you cast. You're like, Goblin Electromancer doesn't count. But all of my rituals.
Keep track of your stuff, people.
And they're separate. So just be aware. It looks a lot like Storm. I don't know why it isn't just Storm. They could have put whatever cost they wanted on this card. It could have cost 7 or 8 and just said
it's
for each
still going to
spell.
be played by the same people.
Yeah, it does exactly the same things. It's not going to see play in Standard, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would you ever play this card in Standard?
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to put this in an EDH deck. Don't get me wrong. This is going to happen.
But you would still put it in even if it cost 8.
Right. No, I play Cloven Casting, for goodness sakes. And that's just worse than this in every possible way. So, yeah. Underrealm Lich. Underrealm Lich costs green, black 3 for a 4/3.
He called you a singleton, an odd singleton, right?
An oddball. Yeah, oddball singleton. So Underrealm Lich is a zombie elf shaman 4/3 for green, black, and 3. If you would draw a card, instead look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put 1 into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. You can pay 4 life to have Underrealm Lich gain indestructible until end of turn and tap it. So things to note: this is not drawing cards. This is replacing drawing cards with doing something else. It's similar to Dredge in that you don't draw cards, you don't trigger things that draw cards. It's not similar to Dredge in that Dredge will let you deck because Dredge is weird. If you have no cards in your library, you can choose to apply Underrealm Lich. Great. Move on. You don't die from having no cards in your library when you try to draw with an Underrealm Lich in the battlefield.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's actually really helpful in the libraries where you play it because you will eat your library very quickly, and then you just have to pay life to stay alive. It's really thematic. It's like I don't have a library anymore. I've sacrificed everything to keep this Lich alive, which keeps me alive, and then I have to pay life to keep it alive.
This Lich has taken everything from me.
Yes,
I mean that's classic Lich right there.
Yep.
Classic Lich.
And that's what I have for single card notes.
Awesome.
Oh,
very helpful. Thank you, Rob.
As
welcome.
always, Judge Rob, for coming in.
Yeah.
I know that we've got some questions, so
We do.
Maria's going to apply those while I disappear
Unexplained disappearance.
into the
Unexplained
ether.
disappearance. Are you going to do some enhanced surveillance while you're gone?
I am.
Meghan was Damier this whole time, everybody.
Isn't that really how it
Yeah,
would work?
yeah,
Is I would tell you that I'm a different
that's
guild.
true.
Yeah.
I'm Celestia. Bye for now.
Time for some individual questions about cards from various
Scryfall up here.
Social media outlets. If you have a question for Judge Rob that we did not answer on this episode, remember, you can always go to the YouTube video on Thursday and post it in the comments because Rob will mine those for questions as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will answer them for up to a week is my general kind of like I stopped checking.
That is just fine. Question, Assassin's Trophy. If its target becomes indestructible, its controller still gets a land, correct? Question mark.
No. Or it becomes indestructible? Yes. So Assassin's Trophy, I'm going to run down. It is an instant for green-black. Destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle their library. So there's two different conditions that you might run into here. One, the thing becomes indestructible, like Underrealm Lich can become indestructible. In that case, they'll still get to search their library for a land. Destroying the thing is the search is not contingent on actually destroying the thing. It is contingent on trophies successfully resolving, though.
So say it becomes hexproof.
It becomes hexproof, or it gets sacrificed,
right,
or it gets returned to hand, or it stops being a permanent, which is. If it happens, call me. So then they won't get the chance to search.
Okay.
And note for Assassin's Trophy also, while we're here, you will only shuffle if you elect to search. You can choose not to search. If you like the top card of your library because you surveilled and then you like what you put there, you don't have to search with Assassin's Trophy. If you do search, you must shuffle.
This question is from Greg. If Lazav copies Phage the Untouchable, will the, quote, when Phage deals damage, unquote, effects still happen since the card is still named Lazav?
Yes. Lazav, the multifarious, he has power and toughness, and you probably don't care. He's a 1/3 for black, for blue-black, a legendary creature shapeshifter. When Lazav the multifarious enters the battlefield, Surveil 1. X, colon. So X generic mana. Lazav the is an activated ability. Lazav the Multifarious becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with converted mana cost X, except its name is Lazav the Multifarious. It's legendary in addition to its other types, and it has this ability. So Lazav, when he becomes a copy of something, replaces his name or the name of the card with Lazav. And when a card it refers to itself by name, it means this object. So yeah. You get the Phage trigger.
Okay.
If you spend your 7 mana to copy Phage to Lazav, they're probably better choices.
This is a question about a card we talked about earlier, in fact, both. If you cast Unmoored Ego, can you name half of a double card like Connive Concoct, or must you name both?
So you'll be naming both halves of it. When they're in the library, they have both halves, and when you name a card, in that case, you'll name both halves, and then you'll just search for the cards with that name.
So would I be in trouble if I just said Connive?
No.
Okay.
When you name a card, what it really means is unambiguously identify it. So if you say the Damier split card from Guilds of Ravnica,
mind control, a thing with 2 or less.
Yeah, mind control, little thing, and it's got some other half that I don't care about right now. Yeah, you can get it.
Yeah.
So like you're really just describing the card unambiguously. You're naming a card. You're searching for the split card, and you're searching for up to 4 copies of the total card when you do that.
What is your favorite snack for between rounds at a pre-release?
For between rounds at a pre-release? So I actually have taken to doing protein bars for stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I just bring a bag of protein bars and I'll munch like half a protein bar every other round or something.
I'm going to put in my vote. I like peanuts.
Peanuts are good. Peanuts are really good.
When is it possible to respond to someone surveilling?
So Surveil is going to be part of something resolving, basically. So it'll have like a when this attacks Surveil. That'll be a triggered ability. You can respond to the trigger. If they pick up and look at cards, they're in the middle of resolving it and it's too late. So they can say attack you, Surveil trigger, and you'll go response, mill you for 5, and they'll go, okay, just resolve. Okay, I'll Surveil. It might be during the resolution of a spell, but just whenever the thing that instructs you to Surveil, whenever you could respond to it. I
don't understand this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
Is Niv Mizzet colorblind? I don't know why that would ever be something you would ask.
So there's a lot to unpack here.
I mean, it's a dragon, and I wouldn't think dragons could see a full spectrum of color, much like dogs and cats can't.
Or they could have extra. Yeah, they could
Extra
be
cones?
they could be like brine shrimp.
Ooh,
Brine shrimp have like 3 extra sets of sensors. They
Sick.
can see colors that we can't even imagine.
brine shrimp are constantly on some kind of crazy drug. Hot
PCP.
take.
PCP. Is it brine shrimp? No.
I know which one you're thinking
Yeah,
of.
they can shoot their spines out and break glass, so you can't keep them in glass tanks.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
they're lunatics. Like,
They're lunatics of the animal world. Okay. Since it's fall on Ravnica, which I love, by the way, is there a pumpkin spice equivalent on Ravnica? I'm going to go with, yeah.
I mean,
you know,
pumpkin spice is one of those universal inventions, like
universal.
the wheel
Agree.
or
Society,
yeah,
farming.
agriculture.
Yeah.
Agriculture is a universal invention. If you have civilization, you have pumpkin spice.
Great. Do the Rakdos throw the best Halloween parties? My answer is duh. Okay. Oh, you're going to disagree with me here?
So I would actually contend that Rakdos aren't going to give you candy. And that's
So candy
that's
is
a deal
poison.
breaker.
That's the problem.
No. You go up to their door and they will just start dropping raw meat on you. Have you seen Rakdos Carnarium for original Ravnica? They'll just be
I
like,
would take
"Hello,
raw
little
meat."
child," and then you ask, "What kind of meat is this?" And they go, "Guess." And you're like,
very
"No,
creepy.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna go home." I would actually give him that it's probably Celestia.
Ooh, why?
Because they're gonna have a managed and
biased.
controlled but they're gonna have a managed and controlled door-to-door experience, right?
Celestia, join us for a managed and controlled door-to-door experience.
Yeah.
Also very good at campaigning for like public office.
Right. Well, no. Have you ever trick-or-treated at like an old folks home or anything?
Yeah,
Yeah. It'd be exactly like that.
it's a good point. And speaking of Celestia, who does the corn maze, Celestia or Damier? I love that question.
That's
Because I can see both of them doing it.
that might be a collaborative guild
Yeah,
thing.
maybe they both work on it together.
The Celestia builds the maze, like the Damier design it, they draw it out, the Celestia implement it, except that there's a building at the middle, like the center gazebo, and the Damier say, "We got that."
Yeah. I love it. That's questions from our Discord. If you're a patron, you get access to that. So that's just another little perk for you. Thank you for being so creative with your questions, everybody. Like we said, Thursday, the video will be on YouTube and Rob will be there to help you out for about a week. So yeah, if you have more questions, hit him up. Judge Rob is joining me to thank Ultra Pro for being one of our sponsors.
This is even built like a normal die.
What do you have there, Rob?
This is a giant cuddly die.
Oh, do you need a pillow to cuddle with at night that also reminds you of Magic and or any kind of game that needs a 20-sider?
Do you have a DM that every once in a while makes incredibly atrocious puns? I'm going to come close to the mic. Do you have a DM or another player at your table that makes incredibly atrocious puns and you need to sometimes throw things at them?
Yeah,
But
there
you
you
don't
go.
want to hurt them that badly?
Yeah, it's a really good point, Rob.
Yeah. I'm that player at my table. So
What? No way.
they decided they almost gave my character, they almost let him keep his headband of intellect. He's an 8-int fighter that took a level in Paladin so far, and we were tuning things in 5th edition. And so I got an int of 19 for a while. And they were like, could the fighter keep the headband of intellect? Because he doesn't make as many really dumb like sight gags anymore.
Please make it stop.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can get this ultrapro.com. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's built like a normal die. It's got one across.
You can actually roll it and you can play with it probably.
I would.
Not in a tournament.
Well, like this is more ovoid even than a normal D20. So
For a casual game at your house, I would roll this. I think it'd be fun.
you could also use this to play giant, like life-size Dungeons and Dragons.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, if you want to LARP, you can roll D20s
There
while
you go.
LARPing now.
Ultra
and it's
Pro.
to scale with you.
Cool products, including this, also works as a pillow.
Yeah.
Good night. Well, everybody, that's the end of the episode. Big thank you to Judge Rob for being here once again.
You're welcome. I love coming on the show. It's always great.
So normally this is the episode when Meg and I would name cutest card and grossest card. So if you've been holding your breath.
You said last week you couldn't name them without me here.
I know.
And now
And now Megan's gone. So what am I supposed to do? You know, we got to wait another week.
Maybe I'll buy a standee of myself.
I would love a Judge Rob standee to
see
just
what I can
bring
do.
in and put in the background so you're always here.
The problem is I'm 6'2",
That-
and so
that's
like if
just
it
a
was life
small
size,
version.
it would go up to like that wheel that they can't even see. And so,
Yeah, we do have the wheel from when we did those completely accurate history videos of Damier is hanging on the wall. The ship Weatherlight's wheel is on our wall up there that you can't see.
it looks very great, actually.
It's really cool. But yeah, we'll do that next week. Don't let me forget, because it is not easy, at least for me.
Yeah.
I think it's easy for Megan.
No, I can tell you, like, do you want me to guess what
Sure,
I think?
sure.
So I think that, so you have two primary choices, right?
I mean, for
You have Cuddly Indrik or the cat that brought you a treat.
the cat that brought you a treat and Cuddly Indrik are the two, that most
Those
people
are
are
front runners,
telling me
right?
about. But there's two other dark horse candidates, Rob. And to be honest with you, I'm still wrestling with the decision.
Like, I think that Dream Eater is probably going to be her front runner, right?
I love Dream Eater.
But there's a lot of like dead bugs in this set, so
There's lots of cute bugs. And if you know me, you know that my picks aren't usually very conventional. My first cutest card ever was Golgari Longlegs, for crying out loud.
yeah. No, well, no, I'm thinking of the creepy spider stuff, because she'll be like, gruesome menagerie is pretty bad. It's not as bad.
She's
but,
going to have a hard time. There's some disgusting stuff in this set.
yeah, Cruel
There's a
Swarm
lot
is
of-
pretty.
A lot of
Yeah.
exposed spines.
Yeah, a lot of exposed spines. Like, there aren't any eyeballs attached to flesh, which that's always
That's
the
always
free,
the
that's
free
like the
win.
free square.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, but yeah, there's lots of cute things.
And
There's
while we're
lots of-
talking about this too, I just want to point out, I want to give a big round of applause to the creative team for this set, because I think all of the flavor text is excellent and the art is out of this world. I am a huge fan, and I've just been noticing this because I've been reading these cards for the first time, and I'm just, I'll read the flavor text, and I'm like, that's really funny. That's very clever. So yeah,
like,
high five.
I mean, there's a corn maze.
Oh, there is a corn maze.
Circuitous route. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and/or gates, and then the shortest path through 2 points is not always the safest. Just like, that's actually a Damier.
Oh.
I could see that on a Damier card full of flavored text.
I need to go to a corn maze, Rob. We're getting way off topic here, but
Yep.
I love the fall so much. So I'm just having the best time with this set. And so next week, officially, we will name cutest card and grossest card. Stay tuned, of course, on YouTube for our video for the top 10 worst rares to not put in your pre-release deck before this weekend. The pre-release is this weekend. Pre-register, go play,
Yes.
find your guild, do more than one, because I'm here to say I played with the set 2 times already, and it is very, very deep, and there are lots of different things you can do and lots of cool stuff in all of the guilds.
Yeah, that's the one thing with Ravnica sets. If you haven't played a Ravnica set before, the one thing to be aware of is the Ravnica sets are packed with stuff.
Yeah.
Like not just every guild, but every 2 guilds together is generally an interesting, different draft experience. And so, like, normally when you look at a set, like say we're just an M19, every 2 color pair had an archetype, right?
Yeah.
In this, it's every pair of guilds.
And then also you can start thinking about shards, because splashing is not that hard.
Right. And the mana fixing is better. And well, the shards are usually just like guild pair plus a card or whatever, right?
And 2, some of them have synergy, like Golgari plus Damier.
Yeah.
Works
Surveilling
together.
to put in your graveyard is really good. Or Jumpstart. Like, Surveil is really powerful because it powers up 2 of the other mechanics.
Exactly.
I actually think Convoke is really weird because it's the odd one out. Like, it doesn't really connect with the other guild mechanics. But like, Convoke is such a fun, clean mechanic. Like, they
Makes sense.
Yeah, like they talk. One thing Mark Rosewater talks about is the amount of depth the mechanic has for design, and they could come back to Convoke 5 or 6 more times. When you compare it to a mechanic like Cypher, which is probably the shallowest mechanic they've ever put on a guild.
And just complicated.
Complicated is fine.
At the beginning.
Yeah, but like Cypher, they designed almost every Cypher card they could print the first time. Like, Cypher was really hard to design more cards for, and there's just not very many that they can make.
Yeah.
But Convoke, they could design 100 Convoke cards, perfectly fine.
So yeah, I highly recommend this pre-release because this set is super baller.
Yes.
Big thank you again to everybody who supports us on patreon.com slash
patrons
slash GLHF Magic and Card Kingdom and Ultra Pro, and you for listening and being so awesome. Go out there and be excellent to each other at your pre-release. Have a great time. Please tweet at us with pictures of sweet rares or the decks that you build. I love seeing those things. Again, on Twitter, we're at GLHF Magic. Same on Instagram. Same on Facebook. On YouTube, it's a little bit different. It's /goodluck-high-5. We've got a new board game review coming up. And once I said it twice before. This is the third time. Top 10 worst rares to put in your deck video coming out this week. And so much more content on the horizon for us. So I'm super excited about all of this stuff. And yeah, man, we have so much more to talk about that we couldn't even get to in this show. So stay tuned. Yeah. Stay tuned, everybody. And you know what? Thanks for hanging out. Judge Rob, high five.